LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
There's an accountant up in the football god's office that keeps everything balanced. Oh, by the way, I'm Charles Sandegriff. Welcome to the show. Taylor Sharp, Mario Jerez. There's an accountant up in, I got so much I want to get to. I just got to move along here. There's an accountant up in the football god's office that makes sure everything stays balanced, okay? He's an Alabama fan at heart, so we've had some problems in the past. But the accountant in the football god's office woke up yesterday morning and said, here's what we have. We have an imbalance in Louisiana football here. What we have, we gave them the greatest game that they could possibly get on Saturday night. What we have to do is balance that out with one of the crappiest games that we could possibly give them. So if you're an LSU fan and a Saints fan, see it balances. You got the great game on Saturday night. You got the lousy game last night. Ravens beat the Saints 27-13, and the season of, I don't even know what we call it. I was going to say futility, but it was missed opportunity. It's just bad. Just bad. I don't know if I got to get any more creative than that. I'm not quite to the what do we have on the spaceship that's good phase yet, but you got to look up here in the first week in November and say, what did the Saints accomplish this year? They've beaten the 4-5 Falcons, who are overachieving to be sure, but no doubt in a rebuild. The 2-6 Raiders, who, like every team in the AFC West that is not the Kansas City Chiefs, is very, very, very poorly coached. And they beat Seattle. Okay, that's it. And that's a good win. They beat Seattle, who is at the top of their division, is having a better season than anybody thought they would, and the quarterback is having a great season, which nobody thought that he would. That's it. From the beginning of training camp to now, what have you accomplished of any substance? You've beaten the Seahawks. That's it. We rely on stats a lot, okay? I'm as guilty as anybody of relying on stats. It's kind of what we do. It's how we analyze games. We should remember that they are a tool and not an absolute. For instance, how many yards did Lamar Jackson have in last night's game for the Ravens? Rushing and passing combined, 215. How many yards did Andy Dalton have last night in the game combined? Passing and rushing, 215. So they're equal, right? The football god's accounting office is doing their job? No, not all stats are created equal. Last night, Lamar Jackson made play after play. I don't care if it was 215 yards. It felt like twice that much. The Ravens all told rushed for 188 yards, and the Saints rushed for 48. That stat checks out. The Ravens ran when they wanted to, and the Saints couldn't run at all. And it especially became apparent on third down when the fruits of all that rushing made for a lot of advantageous third down conversion opportunities for the Ravens and put the Saints behind the sticks an awful lot. The Ravens were 9 out of 15 on third down. The Saints were 3 out of 11. Some of this was the Saints' own doing. We got on Brian Kelly after the Tennessee game. But why? Because Harold Perkins wasn't on the field. That was a legitimate criticism at the time. I'll stand by that. He fixed it. If it's 3rd and 1 and you're the New Orleans Saints and Taysom Hill is not on the field, you have made a gigantic mistake. I don't care if he gets the ball. I don't care if he throws the ball. I don't care if he catches the ball. I don't care if he runs the ball. I don't care if he stands out near the hash mark as a decoy. But if it's 3rd and less than 5, Taysom Hill has to be on the field. The threat of Taysom Hill has to be on the field. 3rd and 1 on the first series last night, 3rd and 3 on the third series last night, and Taysom Hill doesn't get the ball either time. Not only that, the first time he's not even on the field. Yet on first down in the next drive, there's Taysom Hill running off the left side. Now, this is when you're going to run Taysom Hill. The one carry he got last night is on first down, and then that's it. No. And this is not the Ravens defense that we have seen through most of John Harbaugh's tenure. What do you think of when you think of the Ravens? Ever since they came over from Cleveland, when I think of the Baltimore Ravens, I think of a physical, tough, defensive-minded, hard-nosed football team. Nobody would ever call the Baltimore Ravens soft, not that watches football. But this year, they're 18th in points allowed. This is arguably – no, I don't even think it's arguable. I think this is probably the worst defense that they have had since Harbaugh has been there. Not that they're bad. The yards numbers are actually really good, but the points numbers weren't. Well, Roquan Smith's going to make a difference, by the way. Did you see him on the 3rd down and 1? He get up there, pop. They made a trade for him last week, week before last, whatever it was, and he's already making a difference in there. So it's not like you got shut down by the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Ravens. You got shut down by what is statistically not one of the better Ravens defenses that we have seen. Not a lot of answers that we were particularly inspired by afterwards, but this was Dennis Allen on the loss.
Yeah, obviously a disappointing loss. I think you got to give those guys credit. I think they came in and played really well, had a good game plan against us. They made it difficult for us, really kind of in all phases. It's a good team that we played, and they were the better team tonight.
No argument. How much of last night did you guys spend? Is he going to make a change at quarterback, and will it matter? Yeah, Andy Dalton, God bless him. I said this a couple of weeks ago. Good guy, good backup quarterback. He is being asked to do more than he is capable of at this point in his career. If you're expecting Andy Dalton to be able to make enough plays to make up for the deficiencies that are on this team, you ain't got it. Now, I don't know that answer exists on the roster. Evidently, it doesn't, but Allen was asked if he considered a change.
I didn't. Look, we there was a lot that wasn't good offensively tonight, and so there's a lot of dirty hands in that.
Jameis Winston must look really bad at practice. That's all I can figure. I mean, he must look really, really bad, or he's hurt more than they're letting on, which – really isn't possible in NFL because they make you report everything. So I don't think that's it. If you didn't consider making a quarterback change last night, then your alternatives must be really, really, really poor. He got asked also, as he should have, about the lack of Taysom Hill.
Just like everything else, I mean, you go in with a game plan, you have some plays that you like, and certainly when they don't work, then everybody's going to wonder why, you did what you did. So, look, they beat us tonight. They beat us in a lot of different areas.
I don't draw any confidence from anything I hear, honestly. For the last 6 weeks, outside of the Raider game, most of the time it's been, well, we beat ourselves, and we got to quit beating ourselves. They didn't beat themselves last night. They had 1 turnover. At that point, the game was pretty much decided anyway. They had, 5 penalties? 5 penalties for 40 yards. No. The Ravens just beat you from, one side of the Superdome to the other. So we've gone from we got to quit beating ourselves to I think he used bad day at the office when we're the good days. I mean, you can throw in a clunker, especially in the NFL. You can throw in a clunker. I mean, the Bills have thrown in a clunker. The Chiefs have thrown in a clunker. Over 17 weeks, you can't sustain a level of excellence in the NFL for 17 weeks and be on your game all 17 weeks. You can throw in a clunker, but you can't say you had a bad day at the office if you didn't have a good day at the office. See, then the good day at the office, which is what they had against the Raiders last week, that's the outlier. That's the one-off. You can't say you had a bad day at the office when 90% of the days are bad at the office. Then the office is just bad, not the execution of it. Let's move on to things that the Saints are struggling with. Let's start with protecting the quarterback.
Obviously, they did a good job of being able to stop the run. We struggled to be able to run the ball. They got their hands up, batted down a lot of passes. They had some nice pressure packages that were able to get some pressure on the quarterback. So, again, they did a lot of good things defensively that caused us a lot of challenges, and we've got to go back to the drawing board and make some corrections and be better next week.
Yep, struggling to do all those things. I agree with everything you just said there. Wait, we're not done with the struggles. What else are they struggling with?
There's a lot of challenges that go along with it, and I was just sitting in there visiting with Mickey, and I know the first question we're going to get is about, the run game and things of that nature. I think they had about 40 minutes time of possession. And so if you allow that type of run game to stay on the field for 40 minutes in a game, you're going to give up some rushing yards. I thought in the first half, we did a pretty good job of kind of minimizing that, limiting that. I thought as the game wore on, I thought that's where you saw some of their better runs and more explosive runs.
Got your checklist, guys? All right, so struggling to protect the quarterback, struggling to defend the run, struggling to get Taysom Hill involved in the offense. What else am I missing? Are we out of sound bites with things that they're struggling with? Okay, I was wondering if we get through all of them in the first segment. How about struggling to hit a wide open receiver? I accept the fact that Andy Dalton is not capable at this point in his career of putting a team on his back if he ever was. He's a good quarterback in his time at Cincinnati. He was never an elite quarterback, and now at this point in his career, he is a above average backup quarterback, which means that as a starter, he is near the bottom of the league. I don't expect him to be able to do what Patrick Mahomes does or Josh Allen does or Lamar Jackson does. But I do expect him to be able to hit a wide open receiver who was 5 yards behind everybody else in the end zone on a pass that was not all that long, not all that difficult to complete. My old friend Alan Risher said many times, says there's certain throws that a quarterback has to be able to make falling out of bed. That one to Callaway should have been a fallen out of bed throw, and it might have, it would have changed the tone at least at that point. I don't know if the Saints were going to win. Still, Dennis Allen says they are committed to Andy Dalton at quarterback.
I think this is over the last, whatever it's been, 5 weeks, I think our offense has been pretty good and moved the ball effectively. This was not a good game tonight, so we'll evaluate as we move forward. But I'm looking at this as we had a bad day at the office offensively tonight, and we've got to improve from it.
If that's good offense last night and the week before that and the week before that and the week before that, I'm sorry. It's not. You beat the Raiders last week, and that was fine. It was a good game. Saints played well. The Raiders stink. They're poorly coached. You played the Cardinals the week before that. Your offense gave up 2 touchdowns and threw another interception in the end zone. That's not good. There's been plenty. The last time you were really good on offense, Seahawk game. Who was the offensive star of the Seahawk game? Remind me. Oh, it was Taysom Hill, wasn't it? Yeah. I got to be honest with you. I don't like very much of what I'm hearing coming out of Saints camp. I don't. It's not just that they are bad. It's that I don't see a clear pathway out. There's not an. If he is committed to Andy Dalton at quarterback, then, like I said earlier, Jameis Winston must be really stinking it up in practice. And, Alvin Kamara is healthy. You can't run the ball with Alvin Kamara. You won't give the ball to Taysom Hill. Okay. Thomas is gone for the year. I don't know if Jarvis Landry is going to be healthy at any point the rest of the season. I mean, maybe he will. So these are your guys. It's not like somebody's going to, come in. It's like, wait till we get these guys back. No, Winston's there. They're just not going to play him because he's worse than Dalton, apparently. Kamara's there. He's playing. He's got no room to run. Hill's there. He's just standing on the sidelines most of the time. Thomas is in the training room, and Landry's probably going to be there for most of the rest of the year. That's just Jarvis. Look, one of my favorite football players of all time. Loved him when he was here. Really admired his game at the beginning when he was with Miami and again when he was with Cleveland. But the point is that Jarvis Landry has a lot of miles on the odometer. And the way Landry plays the game, it's going to take a toll on you. Jarvis Landry was a physical football player the first time I saw him, and for a wide receiver, that's not a given. And he was a physical receiver at LSU, and he was on special teams at part of his career at LSU. He's been a physical guy since he's been in the NFL, and at this point in his life, those miles on the odometer make it very difficult to commit to be able to count on Landry to be a big part of this offense. And look, even if he was, we're not talking about Randy Moss coming back here at this point. Jarvis is a good receiver, but at this point in his career, he's not at the level that he once was, and I just told you why. So it's nobody's coming to save you. Okay, there's not, and the really bleak thing is, well, at least they'll get a pick in it. No, that's not coming to save you either. At this point, your road to a fix here is that somehow miraculously you will get a high draft pick for Sean Payton and be able to turn that into something tangible. This is not a good situation. What did Henry Hill say? This is the bad time? This is a bad time for New Orleans. We're going to have a good time Thursday night, though. We've got a terrific event coming up at BRQ, Red, White, and Blue at BRQ. It's our cocktail contest and Clisson Delay benefiting our veterans. We're raising money for the Acadiana Veteran Alliance. This helps veterans deal with PTSD. And what we do is we're pairing our military veterans with local bartenders to create a specialty cocktail, and we're going to judge them. We're going to have a Clisson Delay along with it. The food at BRQ is fantastic. You can get your tickets right now at Eventbrite. We'll be there starting at 6 o'clock on Thursday night. I'll be emceeing the event. Again, hope to see you come out for Red, White, and Blue at BRQ. That's this Thursday in advance of Veterans Day on Friday. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. There have been so many improvements to the line just here in the last couple years. The new body style started in 2021 TLX and the TLX Type S, the 2022 MDX and the RDX, and then the 2023 Integra is the newest. Comes with new body styling, new color combinations, massaging seats in the Advance for Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. I've been buying my vehicles there for a long time. The reason is I'm going to get terrific service after the sale. It's going to be transparency in pricing. They're going to treat you like family. So you get onto either the Acura lot or the certified pre-owned lot. Lots of inventory available for you right now. It's all at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more.
Up on Wednesdays, OTB, it's time to get ready for some new boot goofing with the boys. Can LSU take back the golden boot? Some flustering and a brand new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
CFP poll comes out tonight. If you want some of the thoughts that I've got about what might happen tonight, what it might look like, and what matters to LSU and what really doesn't, the podcast is posted now, the Hannycast. So some LSU ranking stuff, and then tomorrow we'll do the Vegas poll, and we'll let you know where everything sits right now. A lot of questions tonight. TCU, Tennessee, where LSU will land. I got some thoughts on that. It's in the podcast, the Hannycast right now. You can get it where you get podcasts. Let's bring in our friend Chris Rusvoglu from Boot Crew Media to maybe get a little bit more about what happened last night in the Dome. Chris, good afternoon. How are you?
I've been better after the way that Saints game went on Monday night, but definitely happy to be on and talk about it with you.
Okay. I don't know if I want to talk about what happened so much as what's next, because we can explain what happened last night very, very easily. The Saints just got absolutely slaughtered, and we could rehash over the carcass all we wanted. I'd really rather move on to what happens next. First of all, let's talk about the quarterback. Dennis Allen has been very adamant. We just played the clip that he is sticking with Andy Dalton. He thinks, this is their best opportunity to move forward. It's getting harder to defend that. My question was, has Jameis Winston been that bad in practice? And apparently he has. So I'm curious your thoughts about Allen standing in front of Dalton.
Yeah, I think this whole quarterback situation, to me, it's confusing because the idea of starting Andy Dalton and letting him kind of manage the game only makes sense if, A, they're playing good defense, which over the last month they've only had that one great game against the Raiders, and then, B, if they're avoiding turnovers. But 2 out of the last 3 games, we've kind of seen Andy Dalton shrink in the big moments. The Cardinals game, obviously not a highlight for him, and then Monday night, it just seemed like he wasn't comfortable. The Ravens kind of had their way with the front seven, so it's kind of hard to defend those decisions, especially when you're not having much upside on offense. I think that when you look at the 2 last wins that the Saints had, one of them was Taysom Hill just going nuclear against the Seahawks, and then the other one was Alvin Kamara just doing what Alvin Kamara does when you get him the ball in space, and had the 3 touchdown performance against the Raiders. So I think for Andy Dalton, the one thing that is his saving grace right now is that he does get the ball out quick, and more importantly, he gets the ball out to Alvin Kamara in the passing game. That's something Jameis Winston wasn't really doing. I'd imagine that plays a factor in all this. But honestly, as I watch the Saints continue to just look flat in certain departments, the Andy Dalton-led offense isn't going to work if they're not playing elite defense. And now you factor in that Lattimore's still out. Davenport got hurt yesterday. Pete Werner got hurt yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see a scenario where they're going to play that elite defense that complements keeping Andy Dalton as your starter. So that's why I'm really baffled by all this.
The other thing to keep Andy Dalton upright and moving this offense is they have to run the ball well. The numbers for the season aren't terrible. They're 12th in the league in rushing per game. But it strikes me that a lot of that is due to Taysom Hill, not just when he's carrying the ball, but when the threat of him carrying the ball is there, it makes everything just a little bit easier to work, which is why it makes it really baffling, the lack of use in a game like last night.
Yeah, that was probably the one takeaway from that game that left me really frustrated, was the fact that Taysom Hill wasn't utilized much. He had 1 rushing attempt on the stat sheet. I know he had another that got called back by a Cesar Ruiz holding penalty, But overall, it just seems like the Saints early in this game wanted to run with Alvin Kamara. The Ravens stacked the box, said you're not going to do that. But I still don't know if that dictates not putting Taysom Hill on the field, because Taysom Hill, if we're being honest about it, in the second half, the one drive where the Saints felt like they were moving the ball decently well, Taysom Hill was the catalyst of that. And it was actually through the passing game. So I'm just confused as to why he didn't get more snaps in this game, particularly in the red zone. The one red zone snap that they used him, it was an option play where he handed it off to Dwayne Washington. I don't know if that's really kind of a recipe for success in the red zone. So that really confused me. Dwayne Washington finished with more carries than Taysom Hill in that game. That's not a great recipe, especially when Taysom Hill had 10 carries the week prior for 61 yards, and you saw that the Raiders had no answer. So I was disappointed in that regard. There's been a statistic throughout this season that the Saints score more points per drive when Taysom Hill gets at least one carry or one touch. And it sometimes seems so simple that, hey, you get Taysom out there and good things happen, and yet there are times where they go away from him. I understand when it's kind of something that they scripted, it's part of the game plan, but when the script's done and you got to figure stuff out on the fly, I just think it's much easier to do that when number 7's on the field. So I think the Saints, especially this week against the Steelers and the coming weeks, just have to do a better job of being more consistent with their usage of Taysom Hill, because I thought last night was just a bad reflection on coaching with the way they didn't get him enough carries and even enough touches, whether it's a receiver or even letting him throw the football.
Dwayne Washington having more carries than Taysom Hill is bad. Andy Dalton having more carries than Taysom Hill, not sacks, more carries than Taysom Hill is completely unacceptable. I mean, you got degrees of bad there. Let me flip sides and talk about what's going on defense. Now, look, Lamar Jackson is one of the the toughest guards in the league. When he gets on the move and he can do multiple things. There's a reason the guy's got an MVP. But it seemed like on third down, Chris, it seemed like that the Ravens were ahead of the sticks and the Saints were behind the sticks all night, and that's why the third down numbers were so lopsided.
Yeah, and you mentioned third down, 9 of 15 in this game. And I'm going to be honest, the times where the Ravens didn't convert on third down, man, they made it scary. Think about the time where Lamar had the ball kind of stripped out of his hands. He picks it up, runs towards the sideline, and then throws a deep shot to Deshaun Jackson that wasn't caught. But still, even those plays, he kind of makes you sweat it out. And I get it when there were moments where the Saints kind of had Lamar in their grasp and he made them miss. Because like you said, Lamar is just a true one-of-one type of player that he's a magician in those situations. He'll make you miss in a phone booth. He's that explosive. But what really confused me were the moments where it seemed like so much attention was on Lamar that the Saints were missing guys running underneath on crossing routes, or there was a situation where the running back is wide open in the flat. And I think that really hurt them. And you saw as the game progressed, Kenyon Drake started getting these massive holes in the running game because the Saints were so drawn into Lamar Jackson, what he does as a runner and how effective he can be, that they kind of lost their gap integrity with Kenyon Drake. So I think that was something that stood out to me as well. And to your point, you're not going to win a lot of games if you're giving up 9 of 15 on third down. And even the ones that I said they stopped, those are stressful too. So overall, it just seemed like they had their hands full with Lamar Jackson. And it's crazy to say that because I think there were some throws that Lamar missed. So this could have been an even bigger blowout, per se, for the Ravens.
And they did this without Mark Andrews, the tight end as their leading receiver, without Rashad Bateman, who's one of their best receivers, without J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards, who are their top two running backs. So they were shorthanded. Kenyon Drake doesn't run up and down the field like this most weeks. I would say that there's very few weeks that he does this. So that just makes it a little bit worse. Chris, the hope for the rest of the season is clinging to one thing, and that is that the division stinks. And I don't even know if that's a good hope to cling to, because let's just say that the Saints managed to win a few games and the rest of the division stinks enough to get you in the playoffs. What are your realistic expectations if you did manage to back in there? And the odds of the Saints making the playoffs are probably less than 5% right now if you look at it objectively. So they got to go back to work today and figure out, how to make something positive of all this. And I'm struggling. I'm trying to find some positives, and I'm not doing a real good job of it today.
It's so tough. And to your point, Hanny, this is the situation for the Saints. The reality that the best thing we can say is the division's bad, right? And that has no merit on the Saints. Like, we can't come in today and start talking about things they did well yesterday because, frankly, there weren't many that they did. And it's become a trend for them. And I think the frustrating part, and it's something that a lot of us talked about on Monday night, the Saints haven't won back-to-back games at any point this season. So let's say they do go out there on Sunday and they beat a Pittsburgh team that, let's be honest, is not a good football team this year. They're struggling as well. They got a rookie quarterback who's top 5 in the league in interceptions thrown. If they win that game, how much confidence do we have that they can, the week after, beat a Rams team that also has been struggling? It's just so hard for me to trust this team to win back-to-back games because it's always one step forward, 2 steps back this season. So I think that's the concern. Look, the division, I think, is going to be bad for the rest of this year. I don't think that there's any team in the South that is just going to run away with this thing because I just don't think they're capable of. I even look at the Buccaneers. Sure, they beat the Rams, but they needed 45 seconds and a miracle to make that happen. So I think the division's going to stay bad. There are going to be opportunities for the Saints, but they've squandered so many of them through the first 9 weeks of the season that what's going to magically change for them? And like we said before, now they're getting even more banged up. We'll see what happens with Pete Werner and Davenport and Eric McCoy and a bunch of key players that got hurt last night. If they miss more time, that makes things even more challenging. So, yeah, I think at this point you just kind of hope and pray that they figure things out. But if they go from a shutout win of the Raiders to getting outmatched and outclassed by a Ravens team that you mentioned was missing 3 of their biggest offensive weapons, it's really hard to trust you moving forward.
Yep, and when you look at those guys on defense, Pete Werner was having a very good year. Marcus Davenport was not, which is a whole different story about what you should do with multiple first-round draft choices and why if you're gonna trade multiple first-round draft choices, that guy better be an absolute superstar. But that's a whole different topic. Chris, we appreciate your time. We'll check back in with you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Boot Crew Media, Chris Rosvoglu. We'll take a break. Dwayne Colucci, when we come back, we're going to Vegas. People clean up on the Tigers, get beat on the Tide. Wouldn't that make it that much better if, a lot of people that bet on Alabama lost money too? We'll see where the action was and where it is coming up this weekend with Colucci when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
And holidays be here before you know it, just a few weeks away from Thanksgiving. So if you're making your plans right now for the holidays, be sure to include Supreme Rice for all your family get-togethers, your big meals. You're going to stretch that food dollar when you get Supreme Rice because it's coming at a great price. You're going to support our Louisiana farmers down in Southwest Louisiana since the 30s. Milled and processed all down near Crowley and in Southwest Louisiana. For Supreme Rice, you can make just about anything. You can make your jambalayas, you can make your gumbos, you can make your stews, you can make your etouffees. Rice dressing is popular at Thanksgiving, one of my favorites. Use your Supreme Rice there as well. The brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine. Supreme Rice coming in multiple flavors that you're going to love. So pick it up today at all your AG food stores, all your Costco's, your Rouse's, your Walmarts. Wherever you buy rice, make it Supreme Rice. For more information and great recipes, go to supremerice.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com.
Join us for a Tuesday edition of Hunt and Hill. Sharif Ishak on the Saints Monday Night Football game against the Ravens. Glenn West on the Tigers. Hunt and Hill 1 to 3 weekdays. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We head out now to Las Vegas. Dwayne Colucci, the South Point and the Rampart. Colucci, how you doing today?
Doing good, Hanny. How about yourself?
Fantastic, man. Listen, the Saints game, we're going to be able to put that in the rearview mirror because people are just too high right now in LSU. So I got to ask you, in the sports book, I know that even against a ranked opponent, the number of money line plays that include Alabama is always very high. So I got to ask you what it was in the sports book when everybody realized, oh, wow, LSU's going for the win right here. And I don't know how many money line tickets laid in the balance in your place this weekend. Maybe you can kind of paint the picture for what happened.
Well, you know there's going to be a lot of moans and groans when Alabama starts to lose games, especially straight up.
Good.
You know, definitely. You know that. And, yeah, you're finally agreeing with us bookmakers. So, yeah, LSU came to play. You saw I was all over Twitter. There was some bad calls, too. You know, the fingertip call there definitely touched the guy's fingertips. We know that. You know, they're trying to give Bryce Young and, Alabama and Nick Saban every break they could get. But a total credit to the number 10 ranked LSU Tigers, and now they're going to be even higher ranked. So 7-2 now, a much improved team. You could see that the coaching staff has made massive adjustments, and now they're moving forward. I don't have to tell you guys in your neck of the woods. You guys are seeing it firsthand, and definitely yes, a lot of the money line parlays were taken down. It was a great day. You got teaser action that was coming down. And a lot of backers, in Las Vegas for Alabama. You know that, Hanny. So definitely it was a good day for the books, and, Sunday was even better.
So let's talk about the ramifications moving forward for both of those teams this week. LSU, this will be it's a classic letdown spot. I mean, I would say that for any team. If this was, Georgia or Tennessee or, anybody else doing this, say, listen, you come off of that game. Tennessee, when they came off to win against Alabama, had a non-conference opponent that they couldn't possibly lose to. For LSU, this is a tricky spot against an Arkansas team that's wounded. So they're only about a 3-point favorite. And in Alabama, they just don't lose twice in a row very often. So I would imagine the money's coming in pretty good on the Tide, even though it's a trip to Ole Miss, which is also a tricky spot.
Yeah, definitely. That's a tricky spot. But like you said, everybody's looking for the bounce back for Alabama and the LSU possible letdown. But I think LSU is a team that they're starting to really, like I just said, find their stride. So, usually when you beat a team of Alabama's caliber, you start to pick up a little momentum, and that's my feeling with LSU. But they are a 3-point favorite. We're getting good two-way action against a banged-up Arkansas team. You're going on the road, so naturally, I think we're going to get over the key number of 3. I think we'll get to 3.5 and 4 by game time. I think that a lot of people also are going to be perceptive that LSU did beat Alabama. So all those Alabama backers are knowing now that LSU is a solid team. Alabama, on the other hand, minus 12 on the road. Like you said, Hanny, very difficult primetime television, 3 o'clock in the afternoon in your neck of the woods, 12 in mine. That's prime time in Las Vegas on a Saturday. So they're going to definitely want to try and bounce back, and they rarely lose 2 in a row. So right now we're getting good two-way action because the SEC has been hard to handicap, and you know that on both these games. But I think we're going to take a lot of LSU and Bama action as the week wears on. You know there's going to be a ton of Alabama teasers at the Rampart and South Point, teasing it down to under a touchdown, and that's when we'll start to inflate the line and move it to possibly 12.5, 13. But do not sell Mississippi short. This is a really, really good squad. I think LSU is in a little better position. Even though the point spread is a lot less, I think they could handle Arkansas, whereas Alabama, I don't know how good they are. Who plays defense nowadays, Charlie? That's
Georgia.
the whole key. I'm looking for a little defense. Right, exactly.
Georgia.
And that's why they're the best team in the country.
And so that's my next question. Listen, LSU's not the only team that likes to pile on the misery of Alabama. Georgia's having a ball with this too, because yesterday the one I listened to Feinbaum yesterday because that's just my comic relief whenever Alabama loses. One of the things was Georgia's the new Alabama. That this weekend, this is like. Yeah, the national championship last year, but now Georgia's the new Alabama. In Vegas, is Georgia the new Alabama as far as being a public team?
Well, they have a lot of strong public backing. I won't deny it, but I won't say that they're to Alabama's level just yet. Alabama, it's been years and years of tradition. Georgia, we're going on like 2-3 years now. So, Alabama is synonymous with first-half wagers. I always say that on your show, Charlie. They love to bet, and, because they get out of the gate quick. So the public loves to bet them in the first half, and you will always see way over half the, people. It's so funny. They come up to me, well, they're a 21-point favorite. Well, how come they're not 10.5 in the first half? Well, that's because they have a trend, and they like to run it up in the first half. So we inflate the line. That's what us bookmakers have to do. Georgia is starting to pick up momentum, I'll be honest with you. They're not to Alabama's level yet, but you do see them very hot in the futures market as well as on a week-to-week basis, Charlie.
All right, couple games in the NFL that I want to ask you about next week. Never figured that this late in the season, Seahawks-Bucks would be an interesting game, but it is. Seattle is in first place. Geno Smith's having a fantastic year. They're a small underdog, basically a home field underdog on the road. I'm sorry, that game's in Germany. They're basically a 2.5, 3-point underdog for the game in Germany. And then the other game, the Chargers and the Niners, which seems like one of those two teams that I think should be probably better than their records, looking to make a second half charge. So your thoughts on those two games?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Charlie. You're going to see a lot of Tom Brady backing down because he got the monkey off his back, ended the losing streak. It wasn't in flashy style, but I think also you combine that with a lot of people are waiting for the Seahawks to come back down to earth. But this team is unbelievable. Geno Smith and, credit to Pete Carroll once again. They obviously knew what they were doing with the Russell Wilson situation, and Geno has stepped in. He's a consummate professional. He's been around now for years and years and years. But I definitely think that the Seahawks are a play here. I mean, you're looking at it up to 2.5 at the Rampart and the South Point. Even though the public is just going to steamroll the Buccaneers, this is a neutral site. They are traveling across the ocean. We've seen different effects on the Europe games this year, so I definitely think the Seahawks have an excellent chance that defense could keep them in the game. Now, on the other hand, the Chargers and 49ers, this is a very interesting game because I feel that the Chargers have been banged up and slightly underachieving, but I would love to get 7 points here. I mean, this is an inflated line. 49ers definitely need the game. We know that, but we're seeing good two-way action thus far. We opened it at 7. It is at 7 at the Rampart and South Point. Total is 46.5, not moving at all. We this is a prime time game and definitely important for both sides. The Chargers want to keep up with the Chiefs, and the 49ers definitely feel that they could still conquer the NFC because the NFC is wide open, Charlie. So This is a big, big game. 3-1 on the money line on the 49ers. I like the Chargers, but they're banged up.
And I should have put one more in there, so this is the last one. Vikings and Bills. The Vikings are 7-1. If the Vikings were in the college football playoff poll, they'd be Tennessee or maybe Oregon because they've only lost one game, and it was just to the only undefeated team. But still, there seem to be questions, are the Vikings really good? And the Bills got to be smartened from that loss to the Jets last week. So that's an interesting game at noon on Sunday in Buffalo, sitting there just under a touchdown choice.
Yeah, we opened it at 8, and we were going to take a plethora of Vikings money just because of the injury possibility to Allen and the elbow.
Yeah.
So now it's at 6.5 at the Rampart and South Point. And the Bills have to be careful. I mean, that was definitely a mental also thrashing. You could see how upset they were after the game. And the Jets are getting under a lot of team skin, I'll be honest with you. I never thought that they could be a playoff possibility, let alone, pushing Miami and Buffalo to the brink. They're right on top of those teams. So, definitely Buffalo has to make a statement. I think Diggs has to be way more involved. The defense looked okay, but the secondary of the Jets really took command of that game late, and they were batting balls down. They were in Brown's head. It was just unbelievable performance. So I think that Buffalo has to react, but the status of Allen is very important. Watch that elbow. It's the throwing elbow.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so important. You're talking about, Charlie, an MVP front runner that now is not the MVP front runner. All of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is now taking somewhat command. And, most of the markets are reflecting that in the odds. So Allen wants to, improve this team, but if his health isn't there, it's going to be very, very difficult. And I think Case Keenum is the backup, but Allen will probably play.
All right, before we get out of here, you got a hockey pick? Anything you like tonight?
Yeah, definitely. There's a full slate. Let me pull it right up now, Charlie. I was waiting for you to ask me about this. We got some exciting hockey going on here in Vegas. But tonight is a unique situation. I was at the game at T-Mobile when Toronto lost to the Vegas Golden Knights, and they really put a lot of firepower and effort out there. I think the road trip is going to start to get to the Knights a little. I'm liking Toronto. I know all the homers here in Vegas are going to want to thrash me. Vegas taking a ton of money at my shop. We opened Toronto 125 at the Rampart and South Point. It's down to 115. I'm seeing 110. At some shops around town, 6.5 is the total. I will take the Maple Leafs tonight. Detroit and Montreal, that's another good game. Montreal, they have gone somewhat of a little losing streak, but they're playing very well. They played very well against the Golden Knights. That top line of Suzuki, Caulfield, they're just excelling and playing very well, whether they put Doc on that line or, Slavkovsky, the kid, mixes it up. I think that Montreal definitely is a play tonight at the plus 135. I like them also against the Red Wings. That's a road game, but be careful. I like to take the plus in this situation, though. Also, I think Tampa's a good play tonight. We're seeing a lot of Tampa Lightning money against Edmonton. 165 at the Rampart and South Point. At home, I think they will thrash Edmonton. So there's 3 picks for you.
Maple Leafs, Canadians, and Lightning. Kaluch, you the best, man. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Definitely looking forward to it.
On Game Time. We'll take a break, take your questions when we come back. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
So many business owners are having problems with staffing, all of the legwork that you have to do. Tiger Labor and Staffing will take care of all of your screening, your training, your payrolls, the interviews, the background checks, all the payroll expenses. They'll take care of these things so that you can get back to work and getting done what you need to get done. Nothing more frustrating than scheduling a lot of interviews and having about half the people show up. Tiger Labor and Staffing will make no call, no show a thing of the past. Not only they handle the interview process, but they handle the onboarding. And for your temporary labor here during the holiday season, if you've got seasonal employees that you need, you can get them for a day, a week, or a month. They can lower your employment risk. You've got a temp to hire option. It's only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. Tiger Labor and Staffing for skilled and unskilled labor. If you're looking for work, they'll match you with a job that fits. Quick turnarounds on pay. Get your work done without the worries. Tiger Labor and Staffing. Success begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. We'll recap Saints, Ravens from Monday Night Football. Peter Burns recaps an epic weekend in BR. Sean Salisbury's here, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Ask Hanny, can you get to Fayetteville from here? You can, but you got to go through Atlanta, as I understand it most of the time. Ask Hanny, you ever talk to Jim Hawthorne? Yeah, I talked to Jim from time to time. Want to know how he was doing. Last time I talked to him, he said he was doing great and enjoying retirement. Ask Hanny, does Alabama pass LSU in the poll after they beat Ole Miss, or do they wait to screw us later in the season? No, here's what I think tonight. And by the way, the Handycast podcast is posted. I went into some depth on what I think is going to happen tonight and what should. The top six are pretty easy in whatever order you want to do. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, Oregon. Whether TCU or Tennessee will be on top in the fourth spot, I know a lot of people are going to watch that. But those six are top. LSU's in right after that. They're obviously going to be ahead of one-loss teams in Ole Miss and Clemson. Ole Miss because they beat them, in Clemson because Clemson hasn't played anybody. And they'll be ahead of Alabama as well, of course. So that leaves a couple of spots that LSU could be in. USC and UCLA are the teams that are right there with LSU. Both of them are 8-1. Will they be ranked ahead of or behind the Tigers? If you look at the AP poll, LSU's ahead of both of them. You look at the coaches poll, USC's in front of them and UCLA's behind them. I actually think that might be reversed tonight. UCLA's at least got a couple of wins against ranked teams, and they've got one less loss than LSU, and their one loss is at Oregon, which right now you're not going to ding them too bad for. USC does not have a win against a ranked team. So if you're asking me 7, 8, 9, LSU, USC, UCLA, I'd say UCLA 7, LSU 8, and USC 9, but I ain't married to that. Could go a couple of different ways. Hannycast is posted, though, right now. We went into some depth about the polls. For Mario and Taylor, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for a Hunt and Hill. This has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs with another big weekend involving live music. Well, first of all, karaoke on Thursday night. Get you warmed up. And then on Friday, Clifton Brown on Saturday, Petty Betty for your music lineup. And, of course, on Sunday for Saints football, it's happy hour drink prices all day as the Saints take on the Steelers. High school football regular season is over, but we got playoff action starting this weekend. If your team is playing and you want to get out and get a meal late, family-friendly after high school football, the restaurant is open late on Fridays at Big Mike. So you got college football all day Saturday, great atmosphere to watch college football, and the Saints on Sunday always draws a great crowd with happy hour drink prices the whole way. Big Mike's on Aspen and Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.